So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time Best in Show and two-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time Best in Show and two-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time Best in Show and two-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dog. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. Cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first.
What up? What up? What's up? Hot Mike Friday. Big shout out to my people in the Shark Tank. Big shout out to all my people on the back street. You know we started in late because I wanted to see the fights tonight. I didn't want to take anybody away from what was going on. That's why we's coming in late. Don't look here to be too long. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Let me see. Let me get my little shout outs out the way right quick. Big shout out to my man Dickie Foster, the one and only. What up, fam? CTK. Constant Trauma Kennels in the house. What up, fam? Yo, my man Skip Bell. What up, fam? Bo and them. I see you, fam. Big shout out to Melee. What up, fam? Shout out to my brother Eli Monster in the house. What up, fam? Hey, man, I know if y'all seen the fights tonight, check it out. It was, I don't know what to say about that madness. I think the best fight tonight was the New York Fire Department and the New York Police Department. I think that was the best fight of tonight. You know, it's just a terrible shame you got a hot card like that and it turned out like that. It's terrible. I'm totally upset about the fight game. But big shout out to all the winners and everything. It's just got to get better, fellas. Competition is supposed to be better than that. You know, you would think it would be, but y'all got to excuse me because I got my eyes are sore today. But yeah, I think the competition was kind of, you know, it was supposed to be kind of stiff. I think Theophilo, you know, I thought that was supposed to be a better fight than it turned out to be. I had Barbosa, you know, I thought Barbosa would have a better fight than that. Even though I had Theophilo winning, you know, I picked him to win, but I just thought it was going to be a better fight. And it was a total disappointment. But outside of that, we didn't have any issues with the scoring and everything. It was just a boring ass night. Hopefully, well, I'm not even gonna say that because Kennels should just beat Skull just beat him down. You know, they're trying to get that money together to take on that Crawford situation. But outside of that, I had to drop through. You know, I thought I'd be missing something if I wasn't sitting there watching the fights, and turned out I ain't missed nothing. I mean, nothing. Big shout out to my man, Mr. Carlos Regas. I see you, fam. Now, well, I got tonight the aftermath. You know, after the fight situation, sit down and you think about what you just seen and be like, what's happening to the boxing game? You know? Look, it's like being in Madison Square Garden, but you in Times Square. I mean, Times Square, and that's what we got. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. All right, outside of that, look, y'all know when we do this show, we be, like I said, I always tell y'all, we discuss our history, our past. Ain't nothing back there you can go change. You know, we feel a certain way about shit. We always gonna feel a certain way about shit. That's just what people do. But one thing that I try to stick, you know, real close to. And by the time I finish explaining this, I think we got enough shows out here to kind of get an idea of what we do and how we do and how we feel about what we do. Now, one thing we believe in wholeheartedly is we don't have to cap about a damn thing we've done. Capping was never my thing. I was never one to brag about shit. I mean, just bragging wasn't never something that we got into. Because most of the time when the person who gets caught bragging, them be the main ones that can't accept losses. I just think them two things went hand in hand. You brag, talk shit, and then when you get your ass whooped, it don't look good on you. I never wanted to be the one to be bragging and get my ass whooped and have mud all in my face. I felt like that everybody had the opportunity, on any given Sunday. True believer in that. On any given Sunday. That's why, when we, regardless of what we did, we went hard at whatever we was doing. And maybe things like that is just, in the character of people. If you as a person let things around you change who you are, then you become something that's not you. And like anything, things that you're not used to doing or being, it's going to be rough starting out because it's something that you're not actually used to. You ain't used to ever talking shit, and you talking to a person that's known for talking shit. It's hard to get on that level of a person that's known to talk shit because that's not something that you're used to doing. And even when it comes down to things like that, you just basically just sit back. Some of them, some fighters, and even in some, in mostly sports, you take that and use that to fuel your fire, whatever it may be. And it's those situations that keep you from having, from having to step down to a level to deal with something, because you're trying to get on somebody else's level. I don't try to get on other people's level. I just try to stay where I am. And I don't know where that level is for me because I don't ever put myself above or below certain things. Keeping that part in mind and understanding, I would think after 20, 30 years of not just dealing with dogs, but just dealing with business, period. There's just certain things that just always go hand in hand. And my personality, as y'all know, is a little bit different than Mo's. I'm kind of more like, set back when Mo was the one who kind of deals with everything else. That's who we are. Our videos kind of just show you who we are as a dog man. But one of the things that I've learned in this process is when that video is rolling, right? And anything that you say and do on the video basically is already going to be etched in stone. Not saying everything that we say, but I know I've caught Mo making, sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm listening to him and he meant to say one thing and say something else, but generally when I catch him, he'll correct it. Now, y'all know Mo feels a certain way about the things he say and he do. Me, I'm going to ride with him regardless of what it is. We all know that. But when it comes to this dog game in the past, I don't know how other people look at it, but I know how we look at it. We look at it like that is really our past. Really. There's nothing back there that we feel like, we got a cap about because there were so many people better than who we were. You know, I think our biggest thing is to share the experience based on the people that we knew and because of the, who we were, how we were able to get around and get into a lot of the things we were able to get into and enjoy in them times. I don't never remember a time that where during our career back then where we ever really ever had to deal with any major issues. I mean, when I say major issues, I'm talking about, doing things, treating people wrong, or them paying for something and not getting it. Mo told you about the dog that he ended up leaving on the meal that day, wasn't paying attention and ended up, killing the dog. And it wasn't even his dog, it was somebody else's dog. And he never forgot that. He felt real bad about that. Even though it was our peoples and shit, they, things like that happen. But it's nothing to sit there and, he tell you like it is. Yeah, we all make mistakes. These kind of things happen. Didn't break up a friendship. We didn't fall out. We just, tried to make things up. And that's just basically how that part of the game worked. Now, when I hear people talk about recapping, let me explain something to y'all. Man, I've lived 60, this year I'll be 64. Really. And think that out of them 64 years, over 30, almost 40 years of that, we've always dealt with dogs. And I say that because I still have to feed dogs, not even now. It's a habit. It's just the love of the game, the dogs, just having them around. Kind of makes your life, kind of complete. It's not like having a big yard full of them, but that was in the past. As you get older, things do change. But as a person, I feel like I've never had to worry about changing. Beautiful family, kids grown, grandfather, been through all the drama that you can possibly imagine. But as a person, no. We've always been through the little attacks. You know what this YouTube thing do? It takes a mind of its own, and you see how people just run with shit. Like I seen somebody post somebody had died and that person was still alive. They be talking about clickbaiting. There's a lot that goes on that I don't really have the time to really get in to see what's like on Facebook and things like that. It's hard for me to get on that type of stuff because of the other things that I have to take care of in life. Outside of this business here, I still got to deal with this business over here. And then still deal with this. So this is always going to be like our source of getting away from everything else and then enjoying this part of it. Fellas, YouTube does not define who you are. I always looked at YouTube as just a way of getting on here and putting your shit out there and going from And I laugh about it because I see, some of the stories, and I mean, me myself, I go through YouTube and just see some of the craziest things. And they be having thousands of hits, and you see all types of comments. And, my wife is more into social media because of the things that she does. You know, she's a baker. She's an administrator on some of the women's sites and things like that. So she's more familiar, and she gets into the, I guess, those reality shows, and they have their little podcasts. No, they're groups. They have their little group sections. That's what they are, groups. See, I don't even know it that way, but I know she's administrator of a couple groups. And so she always tells me about things that people say. But she don't really get into this over here. But I see where she be coming from, because some of the things that I hear people say and do, I be really wondering, over here we stand on one thing. If you're going to talk shit to somebody and about somebody, at least have receipts. See, receipts is always that thing that, regardless of what you say and how you say it, how people feel about it, one thing you're going to understand as you get older, and as for some of us who's already at that point in life, we stand on what we say. And what we say, we stand on. That's because there's no other reason. For all I'm concerned, I don't have no reason to bullshit nobody. Mo don't have no reason to bullshit nobody. So I can't remember exact. I think it was Ballin made a comment on whose show was that? Damn, I was just on there. I had just seen it. Might have been J-Bo's. And he said that Mo never answered his question about pictures of the dogs. And I think I'm pretty sure, because I remember telling Mo about the question, and I think Mo did say he ended up losing all the journals, the pictures, and pretty much everything that was pertaining to the dogs in the raid. That's why y'all don't see dogs like Redman, Judo, Blood, Bruiser, Crybaby. There's a whole lot of dogs that we just don't have pictures for. Now, if y'all remember, if you go back and look at the very first video, you'll notice there's a picture of the yard there. And if you can you pull up that picture and you look deep into that picture, you're going to see there are dogs on every one of them trees in that picture. You might not see them clearly, but you're going to see the dogs, and you're going to see a lot of dogs. Yeah, we used to have a lot of pictures. But, if you ain't never been a part of the raid or had, things like that happen to you, they basically come in and take everything. And when it's all said and done, they don't get that shit back. Don't ever believe it's supposed to be your shit. But for some odd reason, we never got our shit back. I don't know why, because it was a journal and he just took the journal and made them his, or I don't know how they were able to just get away with all the stuff that they actually took. I felt like it always should have came back. But those kind of things happen, you don't cry over spilled milk. But there's no reason to bullshit nobody about that. If it ain't never happened to you, then you don't know what that feels like. So I wouldn't expect them type of people to understand. But don't ever think that I got to make an excuse for any goddamn thing. Nothing. It is what it is. There's a whole bunch of damn dogs of ours that you guys have never seen. So what that's supposed to mean? We never had them. And as far as anything else that we say or do, Y'all know how we handle shit around here. We don't be going back and forth. We say our piece and we move on. But we will give you a chance to address any issue that you may have. But make sure you have a legitimate issue. If you said I said something on a video and you wanted to stand on it, you need to just go ahead and produce that clip, and then we'll go from there. But when I don't see that clip, don't ever think that I forgot about who said what, because I'm actually waiting for the opportunity for anybody who ever said anything. You've never seen us run away from any damn thing. We're gonna address it. Might not like how we address it. Might not like what we say when we address it. But that should give you a full understanding about who the hell we are. That don't make us no big badass wolf. That just means what the fuck we say. I'm too damn old to even think that anybody can make me do any damn thing I don't want to do. And age ain't really got nothing to do with that, because if you really think about it, shit, I ain't never had to work for a motherfucker to worry about what time I had to get off work or what time I had to come in. Because I ran shit. That don't make me no big badass. That's just when my kids got grown, that's what I choose to do. Work when I want to work. That's just life in general. I'm going to be the same person every day. And I meet different people every day, different situations, because of the jobs I do have. And I never change for any one of them. I'm going to be the same guy because I'm going to be respectable, first of all, to any and everybody, even until they get disrespectful. Then they get a chance to meet the other part of me, because you can't call my office and talk about, he said this and I felt this type of way and you want him fired. Well, that don't work over here. What it does is actually gives me the opportunity to handle it the way I want to handle it. And the only way you'll really realize that who I really am, that you really do have to call my office to talk to my boss before you realize that I am the person that you want to talk to. Because it's something I don't go around telling people. My customers never know that I run this company. They don't know because I don't tell them. But then that's why I make it a habit to be the same guy all the way around. Same thing with these dogs. We always try to treat people the same way. Maybe that's why we were able to get a lot of the things we did, because in true reality, we good people. But in the same token, you can't be good people if you got a cap. One thing I used to love about the dog game, you talk that shit, guess what? There's a way to find out if you're really about that shit. See, back when I was growing up in school, we did fight. You talk shit, guess what? We gonna meet you at lunchtime or meet me after school over at the playground. And back in them days, there wasn't nothing wrong with going out getting into, a fight, because that's what we did. That is just a part of our growing up. See, if you ain't never grew up having to use these things right here, and the day comes to where you have to use these things right here, and that you have never done it, it's easier to grab a gun and close your eyes and go like this. And that's how I looked at people who were afraid of this and were so quick to do this, and their life be over. But see, I'm a trained person who can do this. And I don't run around bragging about I can do this. I'm an expert at I can do this. But I don't run around acting like I'm the baddest person in the world because I can do this. Or this. Capping ain't never been my thing. And this podcast does not make me want to change who I am as a person because it's just a podcast. I've seen people out here doing far worse. I've seen guys in this game who are fresh and new, who are eager to get out there and create and do what they want to do. And we sit down here and we go through all the processes and even sit down and tell you why we did a lot of the things we did. Not saying that makes us better than anybody. No, that's just saying that's just what we did. Now, as far as opinions, we know those sayings. Opinions is like assholes. Everybody got one. So opinions never really bothered, us as far as how people felt. I have to deal with opinions almost every day. You got some customers that came in there and they look at you. First of all, I'm a black man. Think about it. And then they, sometimes think, well, do you know what you're doing? Because I don't tell them who I really am. I'm just a guy who's there to take care of a problem. Well, my friend Joey told me to do this and do that, and I would politely tell them, I don't know Joey, and then if you call the office, I'm just out here to take care of your problem. And Joey, if you would like to call Joey and have Joey come over, I don't have any problems in helping and teaching Joey something. You might learn something today. Because I know by the time I'm done, my work will be done and I'll be off to my next customer. That's the way I have to handle people's opinions. So I never let it get to me, But this is why I always talk about receipts. Because by the time I get done with Joey and that customer, what's going to be my receipt? My receipt is when I hand you that piece of paper and you have to sign it and you have to pay me. See, behind all of that is still you going to have to pay me. And sometimes, being them not knowing who I am, I can sit there and be like, I make the choice. That bill could, for a nice 80-year-old woman, I'm looking around, she don't have no kids, and I'm listening to her conversation. Sometimes I give them people the biggest breaks in the world. Then I have some people who give me tips when I don't have my people asking for tips. A tip is something that people give you because they want to give to you, just like the super chats and donations. I don't ask for that shit. People find it in their heart to give it. Like when I go to a restaurant and they automatically had a gratuity on that bill, no, you take that off. I give it to you when I want to. Because you still give me shitty service and still think you're going to make me pay? No, I don't work like that. You take that shit off. I give it when I want to give it. And I generally give a tip, but I'm not one to feel like I have to give you a tip. Because most of the time, the ones who think they have to give you something, you'll notice they treat you like shit and still be wanting it. I ain't one of them kind of people. My thing is, when you're dealing with people, man, you got to be true and not just to the people, but be true to yourself. Because there's sometimes when I've had certain jobs that things needed to get done that be so frustrating to me that I can't sleep. I got to figure this out because this is what I do. So not everything comes easy. Just like these dogs. I see Mo running through these pedigrees and he be clicking things and y'all see he go places because he know his shit. And the only way you get to know your shit like we know our shit because we've been doing it long enough that we do know what the fuck we talk about. give a damn about, you know, how long other people been doing whatever they've been doing. You know, because only time that shit really matters is when it comes down to us doing business together. You know, another thing I don't do, I don't spit on other people's business. You know, I get them calls where people be like, I done had two guys out here, two different companies, and they came in and took the money. They didn't fix anything. They didn't look at it. Do you know them? Yeah, they've been around a while. But I never get in and have no sneaky ass comments about them. Because I always felt like that was bad business. And I guess you have some of that in every business, but I mean, not knocking people, some people who do it, it's just one of them things that I choose not to do. You know, that don't make me a wuss or nothing else. That just makes me a person that I don't talk down on other people, regardless of how they do business. That's the way they do business. We just do business different over here. That's how I look at this podcast. Not trying to be better than anybody. Not trying to say you nothing. Sure enough, not trying to talk about you. But in the same instance, I'm always open to listen to what you say. And I don't have, never feel like we ever going to have a problem on addressing anything when it comes to this damn podcast. This is a podcast. This ain't nothing like what I do on an everyday basis. Nothing. I mean, we don't even have dogs to save. I deal with very, very expensive equipment. I deal with restaurants and hotels and hospitals and people's homes, people's livelihoods. I don't have no time to be bullshitting people when it comes to taking care of business. And that's this podcast is still a business. Regardless, I showed up tonight because again I wanted to see the fights. I'm hoping that everybody else is trying to see the fights, so we don't have to be worried about missing the fights. And I'm sitting up here, you know, missing the fights my damn self. But because this is what we do, I was gonna make it here because I really did have something to say. And this is what I wanted to say. And I ain't trying to be here all night. We are open to dealing with any issues that anybody may have. All I ask you to do is respectable. If you say I lie, you better produce a receipt. Because every time somebody say that and don't produce a receipt, I look at them sideways. I do. And the only reason I look at them sideways because again, if you do it over here, then I'm pretty sure you'll do it over there, and you that's that kind of person. And I think if I'm correct, we call them kind of people trolls. I mean, the internet gives people like that name. They're called trolls. And I see, you know, how a lot of people deal with trolls. But one thing I try not to do over here, I try not to kick people out. You see, my list of banning people, I think it's still short, and it's been, being everybody got wrenches and stuff. I mean, sometimes you can say shit, and get too far out of hand, and then at that point, I have to click you off. Because like I said, we open books. You can go you'll find me. If you got Google, you'll find me. Now imagine there's people's looking for me and we got a dogfighting channel. We talk about dogfighting of the past. Then you look over there and you'll see other companies, actually three other companies that you're gonna see that me and Mo is associated with, and that's totally different than what we do over here. But do you think that interferes with what we do over here, our business, and what we do over there, and people's perception of what we doing over here, regardless of what they think or how they think about it? You know, we're gonna keep doing this over here, and we're gonna keep doing this over here. That's just maybe the flaws that come with what we do. But one thing we don't have to worry about doing is losing our jobs. And I've yet to ever lose a contract based on what I did in the past. So I go around telling people what I did in the past. I got a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Do I need to? And you know, there are a lot of people who research. Like I have many people say they found me through Google, or somebody told them, or it's a big job and they want to do some research, and I would always tell them to go Google it or just go visit the website. You know, they give you all the information you want to have, because people are going to do what they want to do. That's the good thing about, you know, life in general. You have a chance to make a choice based on whatever it is you want to do, just like these dogs. Some of us reported to the journal, some people didn't. People who was reporting to the journal, they really didn't give too much about, you know, what other people was doing if they wasn't in the journal. I never felt like they were putting them down. I think I always looked at it like there was a purpose why people was putting these things in the journal. Because they wanted to be recognized for their achievements, and in order to get those achievements and be recognized champions in the Sport and Dog Journal, they knew they had to report. So that's a good reason for why people would want to do that. There's a good reason why people did it that way. And what would that have to do with anybody who didn't want to do that? Why would that be an issue? Why would that even be an argument? See, for somebody like me, as old as I am, it almost sounds benign to even have that conversation, because again, that's like, I'm too old to be for anybody to tell me what to do. I really be feeling like that. I'm a father of 6 kids. I've been married 20 plus years. I done lived to the age of 64 years old. I'm a veteran of the military. I used to be in this, you know, the underground of crime. All my friends around me, been in jail, dead, dying. I mean, all the things that came with this 64 years, I have been there, have experienced to a serious degree. And one thing I can truly say, for anything that ever went wrong, we have always dealt with it our way. Maybe God has blessed us because we ain't really had to deal with too much in life as far as trouble. I mean, a lot of trouble, but never no serious trouble where we had to worry about, you know, spending the rest of our life behind bars. Even though they try to put a lot of shit on us. But then again, like I said, if that was the case, y'all know how this shit here works. When you go down, they're going to make it stick. And however they make it stick is what you have to deal with. Well, take it like this. This dog game has always been like that. It's not the only thing. When guys be out here dealing drugs and then you associate the drugs with the dogs. Okay. Well, they used to associate, black people for being all black people being stupid. Black people couldn't play quarterbacks. Black people were dumb or lazy. I mean, that's always been just a part of life. So at what point was that ever supposed to change? When you know these type of things, you learn to deal with those types of things, and then ask yourself, how much does that matter to you? Is it worth me going out here, kicking your dough down, snatching your family and all the crazy things and shooting up the street or doing a drive-by? Things like that never, it just never was a part of my MO. But then you hear people say, Twin ruthless. Well, I don't think I'm ruthless. I always felt like you do unto others as you would have others do unto you. If you be nice, you get treated nice. If you treat people like shit, you will be treated like shit. Some people just do it better than others. This dog game is no different, man. It's not. From where we come, everybody talks shit. Y'all done been into the journals. You have read books. Everybody talks shit. The thing is you had a way of dealing with your grievances. And when it was all said and done, you shook each other's hands. Because in the end, there is a receipt. Regardless of how it happened that night, he quit, no, he didn't quit. He went four corners. You always hear all the stories, but the fact is, there was a winner and there was a loser. He rubbed, sometimes that people were being accused of rubbing because the loser just couldn't accept the fact that they just got beat. What you gonna go do? Because you thought he rubbed you, would you actually go over there and kill a person because you thought he rubbed? Some people was doing, some people would do that. See, this game ain't supposed to be that serious. Life is already hard enough to be adding things like that into the equation. But YouTube is a whole new different monster. You already know how many what they call them, internet gangsters we have. Never looked at myself as an internet gangster because there's nobody out there that I think that I would be willing to be a gangster when it comes down to a podcast. My thing is, the Bulldog game is going to be whatever it's going to be based on the people that's in it. And this game has been one that is world renowned. And there's nothing wrong with anybody trying to find their place in this community that is so big. When I hear people talking about, somebody made a comment about people fighting Watters and German Shepherds, and then all of a sudden, that's how they got their championship. If like in anything, and I told y'all, and I made this comment before, like in anything, any and all is possible when you're dealing with people. You can't guarantee that everybody's going to do and take care of things the same way that you are. You're not guaranteed that every aspect of honesty and integrity is going to be given at all times, because it's not. But then you also have to be smart enough to understand who you're doing business with, who you're listening to. And I've been around this game here, this podcast thing, and I've seen it all. I've seen the Dougies, I've seen the Buck Cities, I've seen all the fellas out here. I've seen all the back and forth. I've seen all the comments and everything. That's just a whole new scene of housewives, and it's all good because I haven't heard anybody, you know, get beat up, you know, outside of what the situation with Fat Bill. And even then, when it did happen, I kind of felt bad for him. But in the same token, you know, I rewind that because again, I know there's a whole lot of things a person would say that I know you wouldn't say to my face. And I know why you wouldn't say it to my face because I'd be dead serious about I wouldn't let you. And that goes a long way. Well, how are you going to stop me? Well, that's, and I think that's just the way things work. Look, on 2 occasions in my life, I've had situations to where when things got bad and I had to deal with the situation, it was a time to where if it don't be for the Marine Corps coming to pull me out of us, well, they didn't come and pull me. It was a self-defense situation. But the thing was, they wound up dying. But it was actually really a self-defense situation. But when I look back on that whole situation, when it was happening, I was thinking all the things that I could have did different. And if I had did them different, could I actually have prevented what ended up happening? And yeah, there was so many things I could have did different. But it wasn't me attacking them, it was them attacking me. If I had been there, then maybe I wouldn't have been worried about attacking them. If I had been a little bit nicer the way I handle it, maybe that person would still have a life today. But being in a situation like that, it was something that was shocking to me, but the funny thing about that situation was, out of nowhere, the United States military came in, got the situation, took me out of there, and I never seen another. Actually, I never heard anything about the case. Never heard anything about anything. It was just that simple. The average person out here getting that kind of trouble, you got to find you're guilty, then you have to prove yourself innocent. Because of the job I had in the military, and I was a civilian when this happened. I think I was out about 8 months, and I was still in North Carolina when it happened. And they wound up, somebody made a call, and it was all on the news and everything. But that night that I turned myself in, that morning I was walking out the door. Never, at no time, because for me I was like, I'm not going to talk to nobody. I'm going to wait till I get a lawyer, right? That's my thing. I don't have nothing to say. But that situation led to me being walked out the door. And I always wonder, how were they able to do that? And not at no point in time did they ever ask me what happened. I mean, as far as the military part. They never asked me what happened. What they did do is send me to a bunch of, PSD class, PTSD, because they always felt like, that was the problem for my attitude situation. But I never looked at it as I had an attitude problem. I always looked at it, I had a military problem. You create something, and you didn't put an off switch on And that's how this dog situation is. When you're getting these dogs and you true to this game, it's hard to find an off switch if you haven't created one. You would think after all these years that I shouldn't have no dogs around my house. But I still got two to feel comfortable. See, the future is only going to be what people make it. And so who are we to say that we can look into the future and see what this game going to look like? But one thing I can tell you, history is not going to bullshit you. Because history is what it is. It's something that has already happened. Yeah, you just got them talking about it. There were so many things that if you knew now if you knew then what you knew now, how much would be different? Yeah, there's a reason why we talk about that, because just to show you, if you had it all over to do over, look at all the things we would have done different. But that's the thing about history. You can talk about it now because you can see your mistakes and you understand a little bit more now, but there's nothing back there you can really go change. Really. And the whole thing about how I feel about the whole Storm and Norman thing and the little Mayday situation, from day one I've always said, if anybody I was going to have a problem with when it came down to that, it was going to be Norman. And Norman disappeared on us, and it stayed like that. But he would be the only one that I think I would ever have an issue about that whole little Mayday situation. He would be the only one. Anybody else, there's no reason. Care how you feel. Now, if you don't like how I feel and what I'm saying, that's so. But it's not going to change the way we feel about how we feel. And based on what we know. It'd be different if we was talking off the side of our neck. Actually, I look forward to having anybody want to have that conversation, because I would like to know anything that you would have to offer pertaining to a situation, because, again, I would just want to know whatever happened to Norman, because me and Norman used to be cool. Yeah, we used to be cool, but I was really, using all my resources to find him. Remember, that's where Pretty Mama come from. That is one of them. That is, well, I'm gonna say he's just one of, in the dog game anyway. He's that one person that I always wanted to know what happened to him, because I never got a chance to address him. Just to find out, why would you do that? Now, anything after that, fellas, this video was running. I don't have no problems with nobody but Norman. And anybody else who don't like what we saying and how we saying it, okay? But what? That's how I look at it. What? We feel the way we feel, and we say what we say because that's how we feel. Bottom line, don't care about how people feel about what we feel sincere about what we're saying. Don't have nothing to do with nobody but Norman. But you want to get into that? Oh, this conversation can get so much deeper, because that gives us a chance to really see. Because we're not dumb to this either. We're not dumb to this. Not dumb yet. Have we ever played dumb to any damn thing? I always felt like too smart to be that damn dumb. One thing we don't do, when it comes to serious, we don't play. Try to be happy and joyful, but I ain't that one to be listening to give a fuck about what you don't like. You can't come back and told me nothing. You ain't never picked up no phone and said nothing to me about it. So at this point in time, where am I supposed to give a fuck about what anybody else say? We can talk about it. I'm always open to talk about it. But don't tell me I hurt your feelings when it ain't never had nothing to do with you anyway. Or anything else that we ever say on this show. Unless, are you hearing me say your name? Because I don't have no problem. Whoever we fucking talk about, you know I'm going to say your name because I want it to be clear who I'm talking to. And again, I tell you, I don't act like that because I'm no bad motherfucker. I talk like that because I am the realest person that you would ever want to meet on a personal level as far as being real. And that's the truth. Never said I was an angel, but I stand on business. I mean, I stand on my business. So I was upset tonight because I'm sitting here and I gave up this showtime to get in there and watch these fights and was totally disappointed. All that hype. And the best fight I seen tonight was the damn New York Police Department dude beating up on the fire department dude. And that didn't even look like a mismatch. You know? But everything else after that was a total disappointment. And we know we have our disappointing moments. You know? In everything we do. It's just a matter of how we handle it. I put this kind of shit out here and I had this kind of conversation because I wanted to be on record. Everything that we say, because you can always go back and see it for yourself because you know who's talking right now. You know the difference between me and Mo. You know the difference. If you don't know the difference, we'll help you.
Hey, you just straighten that thing out about Queen.
What about it?
What they told. Somebody said it. I said it.
Oh, they said you said that?
No.
No, I seen it on the show.
No, what I was saying was, you were telling me about somebody said that we were talking about Queen.
Yeah, well, I dealt with that last night.
So,
I mean,
Queen.
ain't nobody. I mean,
Joe told me how he was getting Queen.
but we talked about that.
Okay.
You know, that's something I already talked about on the show about what Joe said. I think you had mentioned it too. But it's the dumb shit, fellas. Keep this part in mind. This is a podcast, not to hurt anybody's feeling. What up, Jeffrey Carter? What up, the Rick, B&B Buckshot, my man, Mr. Burning Star.
You know, boy got no receipts on it.
My man, Mr. Marcel Shepard, the Big Hill fan. My man, Mr. Chico Nicholas, RBG Lone Wolf. I'm just getting in here shouting out because I don't want to miss nobody. But y'all know if I was really talking about anybody that was in particular, I would say their name. But I'm not at that point to say names. Y'all, most of the time, if I'm talking about something, it has to do with something that has already happened. And I put it out there because it was said and I will address it, and it's going to be on this camera thing so you can clearly see how I feel and what I say about what I'm saying. Clear. So if there's any misunderstandings, you can always go back and hit that play button. That's the good thing about this shit right here. That's why I put it out there. So right now, I'm not talking about any in particular person. But I did say my man, I think it was Balls, balling. It was balling. He said something on J-Bo's show, and about something that Mo was supposed to have said. I never seen it. Then they made this comment about the Kunta situation. Again, don't have no problem with that either. I still look at it regardless of what anybody say you want to say. I don't remember nobody calling me nothing. Actually, I remember somebody sending that picture that we end up getting of Kunta. Well, you can tell them that. And somebody else who called who wanted to, hey, to tell us something. Okay, well, all that ain't nothing we can do about it anyway. Because it still never got me any closer to whatever happened to Norman. And after all this time and all these shows, and y'all know y'all hear me ask us plenty of times, I never heard anybody come back and tell me whatever happened to Storm and Norman. Because I know he didn't run back to Kalamazoo. I know he didn't do that. I did track him all the way down to Irish Jerry. But I guess he knew I was on his trail, and he disappeared from there. And from that point, he just disappeared. And I put it out there because I really be wanting to know whatever happened to the guy, because it was something I always was gonna, why would you do that? Even though it was still just a dog, but am I gonna do something to somebody to the point to where I got to get up and leave my house? I got to leave my home? That seems crazy to me. And I would expect if I'd done something that was bad to somebody and they feel a certain type of way about it, come see me. But if you do something to me, I do something back to you, then I always felt that, it was a blessing that you can stop and think about you still around. Because I take life that serious. Everybody does crazy things. We all done had friends that done things that was just crazy. Out of the blue. But just because you was my friend don't make it right. And I'm from the old school. I mean, when I say the old school, I'm from when your word is your bond, and when your word ain't your bond, you got a problem. Now, some people might say that and don't really understand what that means. But just take it like this. What if the person who feels like that is really about that life? You don't really know. You can say, oh, you don't do shit. All right. So I ain't never one of them to say that, you ain't going to do shit. Never was that kind of person. Because first of all, I'm not going to do anything where I got that to worry about. But there are some people out there that do things to people and feel like they ain't going to do shit. And then all of a sudden you feel shocked when they do something. Like, oh, I didn't expect them to do that. Well, that person right there, it wasn't in their nature, but I'm glad to see them do that. Because that gives you that hope that that person ain't somebody you can just walk on. You let one guy do it, then everybody think they can do it. Or you have a different personality thing, like, damn, I didn't know he had it in him. Y'all know them kind. This bulldog will bring all that out of any and everybody. I've been around a whole lot of dog men who talk shit. I mean, major shit. Oh, that dog wasn't shit. That's just part of the game, man. I mean, if you ain't saying your shit ain't shit, nigga, I'm gonna come and clear out your whole yard. We used to try to actually do it. We used to say it and then really be trying to do it because that was the sole point of you know doing dogs. You know, always led towards something. But that's being competitive. That's the competitive nature. But capping, that's something different. Capping means you bullshit. I'm gonna tell y'all something about what I've learned about social media. There's a whole lot of Stephen A. Smiths out here. The only reason I say Stephen A. Smith makes over $100 million talking about people. He never did a sport. Well, he did play basketball. Y'all know the story. Averaged 1 point in college a game. But makes $100 million to sit back and talk shit about people. And I ain't knocking his occupation. I just knock the fact that you just better remember who you are. You're a damn, you're an anchor. You're a sports journalist. You ain't no more than that. Your skinny ass ain't got no weight behind you to worry about who gonna be worried about Stephen A. Smith. And that's generally how people in the community look at people who get that type of reputation. Fat Bill might have been the most hated dog man that I've ever known. Because you never really ever see anybody say anything nice about him. But that was the Fat Bill as a person. But Fat Bill as a dog man, he was a bad motherfucker. Period. Bottom line, don't care how much you don't like him as a person, but you still can't hate on his game when it comes down to the things that he was able to accomplish in this American Pit Bull Terrier game dog community. Bottom line, I don't know. Some people might not be able to say that because I can say it because that's the way I really feel about it. Respect him to the highest and the utmost as a dog man. Would beat the shit out of him if I ever seen him in life and he ever said anything out of his mouth sideways and be dead serious. I ain't never disrespect him. He disrespect me, and because of that, I will. I'm on that thing. Don't ever let us ever have to be in the same place because I'm gonna check you on what you said. Because I really want to know: are you really about that life? You talk that shit, but I really am about that shit. And I don't say that just to be no badass person. I say that because that's just who I am. I don't go around picking on people. I don't go around talking about your mama. I sure don't know your mama. Don't talk about your kids or what you do for a living and how you do it. I don't give two shits about any of that because this is a dog community here. All we supposed to be talking about is bulldogs. I done seen people talk about kids, mamas, wives, all types of shit. But you ain't never heard me do no shit like that. That shit right there, it ain't me. Leave that for the other people. I'm just not the one for that. I don't do it to you, then I don't look for nobody that to do it to me. If you choose to do it to me, then you can't be in my circle. And this is a YouTube thing, so there's no reason why me and you should ever have anything to talk about. Because this situation right here. But in this dog community, that shit, there's a lot of guys, I've seen a lot of people hurt over these dogs. Killed over these dogs. A lot. And never would have, could have, would have, should have imagined that it would go that far. But it has. It does. And that's like anything else in life. But it's still going to always boil down to the person. I just want to make it good and clear. just as a person who we are. That's all. I don't want no misunderstandings. Like I gotta sit here and lie to y'all like y'all making me $1 million, or I got something to protect, or I got something to act like I'm bigger or better than anybody else. I ain't never. Y'all got to be serious. Or I gotta lie about something. What am I lie about something for? Talking about these dogs. See, that kind of shit right there is I'd be like, man, last time I checked, I thought we was talking about bulldogs. And I still remind you, there's nothing back in our history that we can go back and change. It is what it is. And if people have a problem with that, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. Just be respectable. But don't call me a liar and don't have nothing to stand on. Because that right there is almost like you're questioning my integrity, my honesty. Like I got to sit here and bullshit you when I done seen this community. You know, people be bullshitted all the time because y'all don't know the difference. There's some things you can get away with, but then there's some people that shit just don't work. It just don't work on. See, people back in the day and our age, we ain't all dead. We still know the stories. We still know the inside. Ain't nobody got a cap about that shit. You just wasn't around to see it. You just around because you don't know no better. That's okay for me. But if you interject yourself into something that you don't know really what you're talking about and you really want to know, remember, I'm a person about receipts. Receipts is like anything else. A receipt supposed to show you what you're supposed to be looking for. Something that's just physical, something that is there. It's unquestionable. That's where we be at. Because if we feel that way and we standing on it, goddamn best believe we got receipts. Sometimes, the truth hurts. But I ain't never been one that the truth hurt me to the point to where I had to go out and hurt somebody. So it's never really no reason for me to lie to even worry about that. So outside of these fights tonight and just trying to keep it real. Because I don't want, my audience to feel any different about anything that we sit here and say, and sure don't want to be in that category of capping. Because it's evident about the dogs we had. It's evident our role we play in the game. It's evident about the people we know. That's pretty much all I can tell you about the American Pit Bull Terrier game dog community. That's it. Know a whole lot of people, had a whole lot of fun, raised and did a whole lot of dogs. So I ain't got the cap on that. Took the good with the bad, but enjoyed the ride. That ain't gonna change for nobody. So just enjoy the ride. And we always open for the conversation. And for the people that feel like I be missing shit in the chat, sometimes I see a lot of things in the chat that you see I don't respond to. And there's a reason why I don't respond to certain things, because if it's taking me away from what we're talking about, then I try to just, save it for another day. But I will address it. Always find a way to come back and address it, because that's what helps me create content. Because I can make the conversation based on something that somebody said that wasn't right for that moment, but I will make sure we address it at a different time. So please remember, ain't nobody paying for super chats to get a question answered around here. So much going on in the chat, sometimes I don't just be sitting there reading the chat. So there's a whole lot of things that I miss, or I might see something and somebody say, I ask about a question, and then I have to go back through the thread and find the question. Then I come back and I address it. I do that sometimes. Actually, I do it a lot, but I don't really get in when Mo on his roll. I let Mo do what he do. This show has been like this from day one. Y'all know that. And for those who know, y'all very rarely see Mo out here moving around like I do in social media. Y'all very rarely ever gonna see Mo read the chats. I deal with all that shit. So I'm not saying I know everything, but I might get a dog wrong here or there, and for for things that I don't know or don't remember, I would I'm gonna leave that for Mo to address because he know it better than I do. You know what I'm saying? But
I got all the receipts.
when it came down to receipts, that's what Mo do. That's what Mo do. He would break that shit down, and he would go through some shit, and he would have y'all bugging out. Because he really do know what he talking about. I mean, that's just, not everybody can do that, but again, that was just part of what we used to do. That's just part of another business that we used to have fun doing. Just because it was dogs don't mean that we shouldn't have been able to handle it the same way we handle everything else we done in life. Business is business. How many times I tell y'all that? I don't, business, the word itself means a whole lot when it comes down to what it means. Business is business. The definition don't change based on the type of business you running. A business is still a business. So you stick everything under that umbrella, and regardless of what that business is, you will find your success if you really understand how to maintain and run that business to where it's profitable to you, where you don't have to worry about taking or cheating or taking from anybody else. Good business is just good business. Bad business is bad business. That's not an arguable issue. That has always been a business issue where you got two businesses that don't disagree, and we just decide to part ways. Sometimes people don't like the way they have to part ways. But then that's a good thing about running your own business, because we control how we part ways. We control what we deal with the dogs. We control what we do with our own business. We control the decision we make when it comes to doing this business. People can feel any way they want about how we take care of our business, but that doesn't mean that we have to listen to it and change. Some people, as you watch on videos, when people be out there acting foolish, some Karens and them Kens be out there talking shit, and all of a sudden, them internet gangsters get out there on their ass and found out where they work, and all of a sudden they mass blasting them people's jobs, and then all of a sudden them people ain't got no job no more, because the company has an integrity line that that person's actions does not represent our company, and they will fire that person because they don't want to have anything associated to do with what that person just did. I mean, I've seen that shit, plenty of times. That's like a thing going on out there. That just amazes the shit out of me. But it's not something that I sit back and worry about, because I'm not going to be sitting out here acting like a damn fool. And I think I'm doing enough by sitting here talking about the history of dogfighting on a damn podcast. Hello? You know what I mean? Because maybe I don't have to worry about that phone call. I might get one from a customer that said, I don't want to do it in business because you used to be a dog fighter. I've never heard that before. But even if they felt that way, I would be okay with it. It's all fictional anyway. It's all a story anyway. It's always been a story. If you don't know, then you didn't need to know. That was a good thing about the game back in the day. In order to even be there, you had to be in the know. And there was a whole lot of people in society that was in that, the need to know. So I'm not going out here pointing fingers at everybody. No. Just understand. We didn't create the game. The game was there long before we got here. And that's just the way the game was. And to let history tell it, the same problems I was having today we was having back then, except for this time is even more crazy. Maybe somebody's putting their foot down. It's getting like that all over the world. But again, everything has to change. So, but the people don't. And the dogs don't. The purpose does. Regardless of how y'all look at it, only way that anybody's gonna know how much you know about anything that you do in life, anything. You can say what you this and you can say all that, but when it comes down to the work, that's where your receipt comes in. So a lot of talking, a lot of sounding like what you know what you're doing. Take it from a person like me who has a very technical job skill. That shirt only works on somebody who don't know no better. That shit don't work on somebody who know. Now, it's just how they handle it. In my eyes, where I look at it, most of the time, it'd be somebody who either, they don't know who I am, and they just blowing smoke up, trying to blow smoke up my ass. And I'm just, like, I don't know the difference. Like, I don't know. Like, what you just said don't make no sense, but I'm not going to put you on blast. I just sit there and just listen and be like, well, okay. But it's not like me and you fixing to do anything together either, so I'm going to let you have that floor. But don't let somebody turn around and hear some shit and be like, Twin, what do you think? Now, that person who might be asking me might be a customer or somebody who called me and say, Mike, I got this inspection at this house, and I got this guy staying there, and they're going to be over there at 10 o'clock, and I just want you to be there, as my advisor. Because you know more than I know. Okay, I'll be there. Now, you go to blowing smoke up their ass, I'm not going to say anything to you. I'm advising my client right here, and I'm going to advise my client that's some shit. They're full of shit. I'm going to tell them why. And I said, now, you run that back by them. Because at some point, they're going to stop looking at my client and they're going to start looking at me. And then the conversation is going to change. Because now you're talking to somebody who know what they're talking about. And the conversation has no other way out but to change. And that's how the dog game is. You hear a lot from a whole lot of people, but how do you know if it's true or not? You don't know. But why should it matter if you're not doing anything, right? It shouldn't. But don't get caught up in it to the point to where, oh, then you start looking at people sideways. But then think about it. Hey, yo, wasn't you one of them riding that bandwagon? Wasn't you? Well, I only did this and I only did that. Well, but like some people say, if you roll with them, you stay with them. Never was a fan of that. I just take it that some people just don't know no better. But it's okay. I feel like that about my customers, my clients, my family, everybody. Because that's just who I am. I have to deal with that shit on an everyday basis, so it's not a shock to me. The shock comes when you have to deal with me. That's why I like to shake up the room a little bit. Because one thing I don't have to worry about, I don't have to worry about losing my job or any sleep, which means I can say and react any kind of way I want, especially if I'm at your house. Because as long as I'm at your house, that means you're responsible for me. If anything happens to me at this house right here, I mean, I have every right to protect myself. I could tear your ass up using you in your own house, and you still go to jail. Because I understand my responsibility in your house. That's why I don't believe in talking shit. Some people just are assholes. But then some people, just assholes, you can be an asshole until you run into a bigger asshole. And then that's where you're going to find yourself having some major asshole problems. So I try to just keep it real and keep all of us on the same page. You know, just want everybody to understand when we address things, we're going to address things our way like we have already addressed things, and we open that door to anybody who wants to step through it. And that's not trying to say it in a bad way, because it's always, everybody has an opinion, but the only way you're ever going to find out what, if you're saying anything worthy and of anything, is just listen. And that's what we do. We don't have no problem listening, because if we can listen, then that means out of respect, you're going to listen to the response. You might not like the response, but it's not a matter of whether you like it or not. Just accept it for being what it is. And hopefully, you get by that. That's why it's terrible to be a sore loser. Sometimes you got to take the wins and the losses and treat them the same way. Just as much as I accept that win, I got to accept that loss. And try to do it in the same manner. Because how else are you going to be honorable about any damn thing? Where's integrity at? I mean, those are the simple things. So let's don't get these things mixed up. And for damn sure, I don't want to get this podcast in a situation where, I don't even say defend ourselves, because one thing I don't get into is defending myself, because there's nothing I have to defend myself from. I just address things that I feel like is not necessarily true. If you say something, bring some receipts and we'll deal with it. If you feel like I said something wrong, bring it to me and with some receipts. And if I did say something wrong, I don't have a problem addressing it. But in the same token, if you're having a conversation, I feel a certain type of way about it, at some point we're going to get to a situation where we're going to agree to disagree. That's why we say our piece and we move on to the next thing. Because this shit don't make or break us. Sure, I'm too old to be calling myself changing from being who I am. That's why, and over here, it's just better that y'all know what's just as two people that look alike, but two different individuals. Regardless of whatever go down and whatever happened, we always gonna be coming at you as one. So please understand that the aftermath is where you find all the results. When the bomb dropped, going in, we know we finna drop a bomb somewhere, or we plant a grenade somewhere, or we throw a smoke grenade in somebody's house. We know there's gonna be a fallout based on the damage that's done. That's always gonna be a part of the equation. It's just, how do you deal with the aftermath? I'm a trained Marine. You know what they used to tell us? Go in, take out the stronghold, and come back. They didn't say whether it was children, whether it was a whole family, or anybody else. And I always felt, I know it's wartime, but at some point, everybody had that passion, that you just, I seen a lot of my friends that end up doing some terrible things that they could never get out their head. And this was in the service. But you know what? What I was seeing in the service and what I seen on the streets was two different type of people. I had some goons out here in the streets and they could do shit and wouldn't lose one bit of sleep at all. Thug. I mean, that's thug. Two different type of people. Over here, we really didn't care, but we did have some passion, and some people's minds was just a little stronger than others, but it did have an effect. Remember, I told you that situation I was in when the military came and got me. That even to this day bothers me, simply because at that moment, I wouldn't think about all the other things I could have done. I was more concerned about the fact that you're going to try me and you're going to try me like this. And I'm going to make you pay for it. Until after the damage is done, and that's not what I meant. Not to that degree, but it is what it is. But I didn't still, to this day, I still look at it as something that if I had to do all over again, I would have done something different. That's what that means. Because at least I still have some type of integrity about things that even might have been right, but then things that I felt that at that moment I was wrong, because it was so many other things that I could have did that could have prevented that from happening, at least to that degree. So I still got a heart. And I still got a heart when it comes down to this shit here too. So, let me see. All right, Mo, it's on you, fam. Let me see what I got here. Well, I'm done. Yeah, hey fella, I appreciate all my boys out there in the Shark Tank, because y'all know where I'm coming from. Because this is just grown man shit. That's all. I think it was time to have a grown man conversation, because, for me, I want to, when things come over here, because it's going to get addressed. But one thing I want to make good and clear, we got enough videos out here that there's so many things that when we say about, I don't go into my mentors, I meant that. You don't see that shit change. There's just certain things that we don't have to worry. I mean, we're not going to change about. If we say something, then best believe we feel a certain type of way about it. Don't mean everybody got to like it. It's just some things is not meant for everybody to like. Somebody, have you noticed that if you don't have people hating on you, then you ain't doing something right. And that's the truth, especially in this internet thing, because controversy sells. It really does. This is just one of them situations, things around here. I don't see it. It's nothing around here being, we ain't trying to sell no dogs or nothing. There's nothing that I got to cap about or be worried about, because we don't really have nothing to offer but our past, and you already know how I feel about that. How many times y'all hear me tell you, ain't nothing back there y'all can change. You ain't gotta like it, but it is what it is. I'll be wondering why you're talking all that shit and why you're saying what you're saying. can you do half of what we can do about our history? Can you give me something to make this at least a worthy conversation? Because at least I got a pass. At least I do have some knowledge. I know what it is to have a bad motherfucker between my legs. I know what it is to raise a yard full of damn dogs. I know what it is to have a yard, one that you could be proud of, that had a lot of dogs. No, I'm not talking about 100 and 200 dogs like some of the old other guys we had, but I'm talking about just to be able to have that many dogs and have a nice clean setup where people used to come from all over the place just come see. Didn't make it special. Just made it like we had a buzz. And there was a lot of people that had buzzes. That's why we always got around to see each other and hooked up and was talking dogs. That is just part of the game. You had your bullshitters. You had, everybody had their certain ways. I don't like going so and so. He's full of shit. Oh, he had a bunch of curves over there. That's just part of the game. It's just when you had that person that might have said, oh, he got a bunch of curves, he might have heard you say, I got a bunch of curves. Well, what you got over there? You need to bring that shit over here and beat up on some of my curves then. You get your best dog and I'm going to bring my best cur. I can tell you I can beat your ass. Things lead to that. But at least you had some type of resolve in place. Because most of the time, the person who was always doing the pointing of the finger, they didn't have shit anyway. Most of the time, that conversation would end quickly. Because most dog man, if you ain't never had shit and you just talking shit, you're going to have more than the person you was having problems with start digging in your ass. Oh, you ain't even got shit. Shut up. Why is he even talking to him? He ain't even got shit. What? He ain't got no dogs, man. Don't be listening to him. He just talking shit. We all know that's just life. Are you ready to beat up a person because of that? No. You just handle them just like that. Paying no attention, no mind. But I'm not here to sit here and say anything about who got or what they have. I'm here to just put it out there. I don't have to cap anything and anybody want to address and talk about. Hell, y'all already know we got a podcast and we open for it. And as you notice, we don't have no problem going to anybody else's podcast and talking about it. So that door is always going to be open. Just remember to always keep your honor intact. Keep your integrity intact. Keep your loyalty to yourself and the things around you intact. And just keep bulldogging. Because that's the person. That's the you. There's nothing more important in life. And I mean this. More important than you. And I say that because for me, without me, my family, my kids, my wife, everybody, because I'm at the top of that kingdom. I am their kingdom. I am their village. That's how important to them I am. That's how important life means to me. And I don't change that. There's nothing wrong with being like that, fellas. Just be real about it. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it real. And that's what matters. And if y'all understand that, I need y'all to give me some thumbs up. Because y'all know that shit tonight on that boxing shit, that was a bunch of BS to have a car like that. And come on now. I don't know how many of y'all might have seen the the police and the fire. Um, when the police, New York police fought the New York Fire Department, how that fight was. Whoa. I thought it was kind of crazy because it just seemed like the fire department dude, he was going to be outclassed anyway. But it's everything that I've seen after that. Like the Asian guy who was fighting the 1 and 2 guy. The young Asian guy, I liked him. But it was just crazy that the 1 and 2 guy, you know, that's an up and coming star, but you got this guy right here. But he really ain't no, 1 and 2. That was the Asian guy's first professional fight. The black guy, he had a little skills though. Maybe I understand why he was 1 and 2. And if you wanted to start somebody off with something, for the first time outer Asian dude, I guess that's how you pump up the volume. But the 1 and 2 dude, record dude, he was all right. He wasn't no, I've seen guys get out there and be doing like this as far as punching that. They ain't got no nothing to their thing. And you'd be like, how does this dude is a professional fighter? I mean, how is this working? I mean, when you say professional, I mean somebody paying you to do this? Who want to see somebody? Because if you look at the night, I mean, I'm just thinking when they be talking about the least punches ever thrown out of the whole entire history of boxing, this is the least punches ever thrown in a 12-round fight. That's saying a lot. And I've seen a whole lot of that conversation. And I just felt like, man, I know it's Friday. I might Friday. You see, my eyes is all messed up from just being around that hot sun and sweat dropping in it, and my eyes ain't got back right. So the glare I'm still trying to focus, but I know I've seen enough of the fight. I'm just like, wow. Is this what the game is coming to? It's like these bulldogs in these podcasts. Is everybody really into these bulldogs like this? Do they really know what they're doing? Who am I to say no, they don't? You let history take care of that. Trust and believe that. There's a lot of people out here, y'all say their names all the time, and a lot of them people I don't know. But considering the people that I do know, maybe we just make up one big small part of that community. That's all. Because just because I don't know you don't mean that you ain't, that you don't know what you're talking about or you don't know what you're doing. That don't have no concerns to me. I'm just telling you, I was over here, and I've been a lot of places. That's all I'm saying. That's just it. I can speak on what I do know and can't speak on what I don't know. I can speak on what I heard. But then you know how that go. Just because you heard it don't make it right. But that's a whole different story when it comes down to something I know. And that's what matters. That's the part you want to always be in. You want to be on the side that don't go on what you heard, go on what you know. Because it's to know that you don't have to work hard in trying to prove. I ain't got to convince all you guys that I'm going hard, Mike, do I? Even though me and him look alike, I don't have to go through the changes of trying to prove that to anybody, should I? If I say something, I say it by mistake, I don't have no problems fixing it. But I ain't senile yet, fellas. I am not senile yet. So my memory might be off, but nah, it ain't that far off. One thing I do not do, I do not make it a point talking about people. Just don't it don't fit me. It don't fit us. You know, if I have to talk about you, you give me a reason to talk about you, and at that time you're gonna know I'm talking about it because I'm gonna be saying your name. And then we can go back and forth at that point in time, but then that's only gonna go but so far. Because we're talking about dogs over here. There's nothing else that I would even find myself going any further than that, whether you like it or not. Keep it on the dogs. Anything outside of the dogs, you don't know me well enough to even have those type of discussions. So let's try to keep it in the realms that I'm hoping that you have some type of idea of what you're talking about over here when it comes to dogs. That's all. And I think that's fair. So if I get out of here, oh my God. Union County. No. He got it. He let, man, he lost. But he wasn't on that juice, man. See, Rolly, he made him look crazy, man. Because, for all the people who talk about that juice, I'm trying to tell you, that juice do make a difference, man. You see how Garcia looked tonight, right? He didn't look the same Garcia that he was when he was over there on that juice on Haney, did he? Didn't look nowhere, nothing like it. I'm just saying, can't tell me it don't make a difference, man. Because it really does. The same way it do in dogs, it do the same thing to humans. It's called performance enhancing drugs. You see, he wasn't on none tonight, and you could tell. Did you see the knockdown? Y'all know. Did y'all see the knockdown when Garcia got knocked down? Them punches didn't really look that hard, though, did they? But it's just, that's not the same Garcia that I seen go against Devin Haney. Just wasn't the same guy. And hey fellas, now I don't know how many people. I don't gamble on sports because when I say I don't gamble on like odds and stuff like that, because I don't understand it well enough to be able to do that. But when they say 90, it was 91% of the of the gamblers was betting on Garcia, and it was 8% on my boy, Romero. There's a lot of people who bet that probably made a lot of money. I know one guy said he was betting 400 on Romero. Was that his name, Roddy Romero? I think that's his name. I wonder what that 400 would turned into. Because I would think that would have been a come up. But I don't have $400 just to give away out like that, just to be trying to go out and bet on something that I could possibly lose on anyway. Only thing even in this dog game, me and Mo Journey, he did, I did, we went halves, and then everything outside of that, we let everybody else get in. But we kind of knew, we had that kind of faith in our dogs. So it wasn't like we was a gamble, even though it was gambling, but for us, we always felt that confident all the time. We always understood you can't win them all. So that's why in the early You know, a lot of these shows, you always hear Moby talk about, you know, the 95 percenters, 90, 95 percenters. Because 90 to 95% of the time, they always won. So that's how we, you know, those are the odds. 90 to 95% of the time, these people always won. So that's as far as my gambling thing goes to. Based off your past performance, you know, that's what if I'm a gambler, I'm going to be gambling based on your past performance. I might lose one along the way, but if I win 10 and lose one along the way, I'm still to the good. And that's just keeping it simple. So like you say, everything's a gamble, but no, everything don't have to be a gamble if you're basing it off performance. You know, it's a gamble when you really don't know, but there's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself the way to yourself that you know it's worth the gamble. Cause ain't nothing better than a person believing in themselves and betting on themselves. We used to do it all the time. We did it all the time. Hey, y'all said the volume real low. I didn't know it was that low. I wish somebody had said something earlier. Hold on. I know it got it turned up. My chat. Let's see. My chat. Let's see. Hey, y'all said the volume real low. I didn't know it was that low. I wish somebody had said something earlier. Hold on. I know it got it turned up. My chat. Well, that sounds like pretty loud, man. I thought that was pretty loud. Big shout out to my man Johnny Rockets. Johnny said, I think Ryan Garcia would have done a little better if he was back on the roids and meth. Hey, Johnny, I was just saying the same thing, man. He don't look like the same dude, do he? He wasn't on that juice, man, and it showed. What's up, OG? I'm chilling. I gotta get in contact with my family for some good old stories. My man, Mr. Jeffrey Carter, you right, fam. And to my man, Mr. Marcel Shepard, he said we from the old school. Men know how to control their feelings. That's another true statement, man. When I can't even tell y'all when I was young, I was a firecracker because I wasn't. When I was young, I come from a disciplinary household. Around my house was my mother and father, and it was nine. I had nine between outside me and Mo. We got 9 brothers and sisters. We grew up in a middle class family. It was always yes so no sir. We all had to come in the house. You know, everybody was responsible for A's and B's. You know, when you grow up like that, it's not hard to stay like that when you got a family who was, you know, stand on business. You know, back then, you know, you got ass whoopings. You know, that's for real. Mom and dad had too many people in the house to be, you know, be worried about a dirty house. Wash is not, this is not being washed. Trash not taken out. Grass not cut. No, they didn't play that shit. So we from that type of era. So as you grow up, I kind of looked at my parents and said, well, I'm not going to be taking chances. And, you know, even though I thought my parents was cruel and unusual, I still had respect for their work. And that's why I raised my children the same way my parents raised me. I was not afraid to whip my children's asses. I wasn't afraid to discipline them. Regardless of what any and everybody might have thought. No. And over here, this is how we do shit. When I call your name, you say, sir. No, even my kids. I know what. I'm doing something. No, I didn't even play that. And I always encourage my children to raise their children the same way that I raised them, the same way that my parents raised me, because there's nothing wrong with you. Dad, you was hard, but what's wrong with you? You know, I tell them all the time, y'all here running your own businesses, you're doing nothing different than what, you know, my father did for me. And if you want to keep that going, you pass it down. That's kind of how the whole dog thing and this whole personality thing works. Age, does age make you smarter? I don't know. Because I think I was always smart. I just think I didn't know no better. See, I can't knock nobody for not knowing. If you don't know no better, we always say that's a mistake. You just can't. The law hurts you because you don't know the law. And because you don't know the law does not make you exempt for your convictions of what they consider wrongdoing. But that only works on the law. If you're jumping into these bulldogs, you're going to take the bumps and the bruises. And if you jump into life, you're always going to have bumps and bruises. So, it's not about the OG and X generation and Z generation and all them type of generations. It's evident that, my parents lived in a different generation, but they raised me up to be a certain type of way. Because they raised me to be a certain type of way, I was in another generation to where I felt more comfortable and secure about raising my children the way my parents raised me. And then the dogs the same way. Well, if what's the name doing dogs like that, and this is how they was doing, and they was being like this, then we feel more comfortable because we see what works. Same mindset. If they doing it, I'm trying to do what they doing, then I'm a copycat of what they do. Now, y'all have heard us say that plenty of times. That's the way my household was. We don't give a damn how many times I got my ass whooped by my parents. One damn thing for sure. When I came home, I made sure that I gave my best, and they would know I did my best because I was doing my best to keep them off my ass. And if that took a couple A's and B's and reading a couple books and acting like I had some sense in school to keep that from happening to me, you don't think we wasn't doing it? But people say that's old school. No, what it is, people just got away from doing things like that. Y'all might think that's cruel and unusual punishment, but that same way the thought got us to where we got in these dogs, it's also the same way that got me to be living in this world for 64 years as of June 1st and still be alive. The streets didn't kill me. The dog game didn't kill me. Life just hasn't gotten rid of me yet. So I'm still batting 1,000. So yeah, I can truly be who I am, and that is Going Hard Kennels, Twin One. I'm Mike. How y'all doing? That's what you're going to get every time we step in front of this camera. And trust and believe, there ain't nothing out there that I feel like I got a cap when it comes to these dogs, because the dogs wasn't about a hobby. The dogs is just something that we enjoyed in our life. There's a whole lot more to life than just these dogs, fellas. The thing is, that's all we talk about here. So every once in a while, we got to visit this thing called life, because it ain't changing. Time is different. Prices is different. But life is always going to be the same. You got to get up in the morning. Not that you want to. Because until he stopped that thing from going off, you're going to get up because you don't have no other choice but to get up. I mean, you can lay there all you want, but when the good Lord says it's time to get up, it's time to get up. That's what life is all about. So while I'm up, I might as well enjoy it to the fullest and the best of my ability. Some people just choose to do that different than others. That's what makes us all different. So let's try to keep those things in mind while we sitting here dealing with these dogs and thinking about some of the shit that people say when you're talking to grown people. Because sometimes I really be thinking that some of you guys actually forget you're talking to grown people. I ain't never forgot how old I was. I tried to, but I can't. Every time I look at my kids, I'm a grandfather. Okay? So how about starting looking at things that way? And that's what matters. Hopefully y'all get something out of that conversation because again, I'm talking grown man shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking grown man shit. And the fights tonight is just one of them things that make me think about grown man shit. Cause man, I wanted to see that fight tonight and I was really disappointed because I thought it was a really good fight card, but y'all know where I'm coming from. That was very disappointing. And if we, we would sit here and we analyze that like we was looking at some dogs, and you'd be like, man, them was some bullshit ass dogs, man. Where the real dogs at? I mean, I would talk shit on everybody I seen tonight. If I was one of them who was about that life, and I could be a boxer. I'm just telling you what I seen. I'm entitled to, my opinion based on what I see. But if I was in the sport and I had somebody in the win, I would be trying to make it a point to, get to tax that ass. Because I'm pretty sure that's competition. You see that kind of weak ass shit. They be talking about that was a boring fight, and you can't sell out arenas, and you can't. Well, that's true. That boring ass shit is disappointing, and I know I ain't the only one who felt like that. So when the majority feels like that shit was like trash, then guess what? It is what it is because the majority has spoken. That shit is trash. Very disappointing. And then you be wondering, I mean, come on, what's going to be the next biggest explosion when it comes down to boxing? We done seen Tank get his ass whooped. The Devin Haney's and the whole concept. We don't have the Marvin Haglers, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Roberto Duran, the Wilfred Benitez, the Macho Camanchos. I mean, I can just go naming some shit when, man, I was on that boxing thing. I was on sports, period. Things ain't the same, man. Same thing with basketball. That shit ain't the same. Y'all remember the Detroit Pistons? Y'all remember the Sean Kemps and the Reggie Millers and the Dominic Wilkins and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Jim Brown. Man, just think how sports used to be. Remember, it was a time in football where they used to do the ring neck. You run through the hole and they would ring neck your ass. Close line you in. Some of the hits was some of the most vicious hits. The Daryl Stingley hit. Jack Tatum's. The Mel Blunts. The games aren't the same. It's like it's just watered down. Now, imagine this. You water the game down, but you're paying more money. That goes to show you just how society is, man. The way we have watered boxing down to this degree. This is what the dog game looked like. Watered down. That's what I'm saying. Over the years, things have gotten watered down. Now, I don't know the Gen Zs and the millennial, all that kind of shit. None of that shit ever played into, my psyche until my kids started saying it. And then things around you. Then you got older people. Hey, these millennials, because I talk to customers all the time, and everybody always gonna give me their life story. The millennials and these Gen Zs, or all the crazy shit. One thing I don't never try to do is talk religion and politics with people. Even though they try to bring it up, then I'm just gonna be a great listener. But as far as people and how things is done in life, yeah, I deal with that shit on an everyday basis. you know. But it's just funny when we talk about dogs over here, and then I look at sports, and I'm just thinking, you know, is it because I was back in the days of the Oscar Robertsons, the Willis Reeds, the Moses Malone, the Walt Fazers, the Nick Barnetts, you know, those guys. Then I had the Ralph Sampsons, the Lajawans, and remember, I got a chance to see a whole lot of change in a lifetime. And when people, and just like dogs, I got a chance to see a whole lot of different type of dogs. Man, it's no way that I can sit here after living that much life and act like ain't nothing changed. Now, people want to argue that issue, but then you know what? I'm going to just put it like this. I don't know how it is to be a slave because I ain't never been one. How about that? I ain't going to sit here and act like, oh, it was, man, it wasn't nothing to be. You was a slave because you wanted to be a slave. You ain't do nothing about it. I ain't going to never be one of them kind of people. But they already got them, we got them kind of people out here, y'all. If you ain't never been a slave, how you going to be telling somebody about how it is to be a slave if you ain't never been one? I just put it like this, you know what I mean? I respect my elders enough that I hear the stories. And thank God that I didn't have to live in them days. We can all talk about, man, if I was in them days, I'd have been dead because I ain't nowhere in the hell I would have been doing none of that. Well, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say that. Or, man, I'm the baddest. I'm out here in the military. I mean, I'm a Marine. I'm out here. And as soon as the shooting going on, right? You see them, you look over to you, and you see the same person who was talking like that, you know, the big gun ho, they sweating, scared to peep around the corner, scared to bring the rifle up to even see where the hell the shots is even coming from. I've seen them. Be looking at them, be like, man, if you don't pull yourself together and get your ass up and do what you was trained to do, damn right the shit is different when the bullets go to flying. But you thought you were supposed to know that before you got out here. Got caught up in the training thing and thought, yeah, you was going to be a cake ride until them bullets went to flying. Now everybody thinking and acting different. So my thing is just always respect any situation. Because that's what makes you the better person. That opens the door for you to be a lot more understanding to what other people's worries and troubles are. That's how you help people. You help them for the things that they don't know. And that you don't know, you don't have no business trying to help somebody with anything that you don't know because now you're going to hurt somebody. That's all. This game don't work any different. Just want to make that clear here because when I address issues, because I am, I want you to understand that I don't do this to be evil or disrespectful. I do this because this is just who I am. You got something to say, and I feel a certain type of way about it, I'm going to address it. Not like I needed anybody's permission to do it. That's all. I just felt it was necessary to do it. And ain't nothing wrong with that. So I don't want people to be beating each other up over the head and be thinking, oh, he capping. No. Capping is when you bullshit. Capping is when you talking shit. But I always open that door to anybody ever feel like that we got to lie about anything. Bring your receipts. You know, I have yet to see anybody ever pop up with receipts. I hear a lot of people say a lot of things, but also hear people come back and be like, "Oh, you just did a little bit more homework." That's all. That's the only thing you could have possibly did because you don't never hear me bragging on shit. Don't this ain't about bragging. Actually, I am proud of our accomplishments only because of the people who we modeled ourselves after. They knew that we were modeling ourselves after them because we always said we took something from everybody. And for the ones who knew us and seen us, they knew, yeah, you got that. I see what you got. You know, you've been paying close attention. And they just knew. And when they have that respect and admiration, it's like welcoming you in to the club, the fraternity. You're a real member. Like my shouts out to J-Bo, you know, and being inducted in that Louisiana Hall of Fame, man. That's big. If y'all just, but you got to be from Louisiana and in that area and understand, man. You got to be about something to survive in that Cajun life. It's like Detroit. You know, you become a very popular dog man in the city and nothing but dog men. Hey, can't help but respect that. Even the ones that they was in that area and we didn't ever hear about it because, or the only reason we didn't ever hear about it because you didn't fall into that category of them. You know, there's just some them ones that they just gonna stand out. Doesn't make mean that they're better than you or you're any less than them. It just means that you was in an area where there was a group of people that just, you know, they were the umbrella of your shine. You couldn't shine like you wanted to because, you know, the umbrella was too big and you just didn't have enough to fit in that. That's not taking nothing away from you. I just look at situations like that. You have to level up. That's like anything you do. You know, you don't have umbrellas over you, you know, blocking your shine. You level up over that because that's the direction that we was headed. I ain't trying to do nothing but be like them. And they ain't got no umbrellas over their heads. Everybody know them. I want everybody to know me too. Is that hating? No. That's because that's what I wanted. Everybody have different wants. It's just about how you go about getting at it. Understand that, believe in that. No. You don't have to be capping to feel like that. I don't call that capping. I call that being real. Unless you can prove that any different. That I'm 10 toes down on what I'm saying. Anything other than that, prove it. I don't have no problems talking about it. Because it is what it is. I've lived long enough to understand. Hey, man. Ain't nothing wrong with a good conversation. But just let me hear what you're saying and bring your receipts with you. Because I'm going to definitely have mine. Because one thing you're going to understand, this is my life. I live my life. Nobody know my life better than I do other than the person who lived it with me. And pretty much when you seen me, you seen him. That's just how we roll. So enjoy life while you still got one. And pray to God that you can just make it to be 64 years of age. Like I feel like I'm blessed through all my medical issues and things around me. I'm still here. Yes, I am blessed to be able to have this conversation because I have so many of my friends and people that I know that ain't made it this far. So take advantage of your blessings and please don't never let anybody ruin your shine. That's all. Protect the shield. Be like the NFL. Protect the shield. Be like the father of the head of the household. Protect your house. You know, because that's what makes you the stronger person. What's wrong with that, fellas? What's wrong with that? So, till Tuesday, man. Hey, look. Y'all know I got an email address out there. I don't have the phone number. I think I don't have it on the ticker, but it does have the email address. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have the phone number on the ticker, but it do have the email address, and then you have the comment section. If y'all ever have any questions you want to get at us, man, you know how to get a hold of us. It's right there. And if you send out an email and you need to holler at them, anybody would tell you that have reached out to us, we do answer our phones. Yeah. Because our phones ring all the time anyway. But it ain't always have to be about dogs, because you never know where that call's coming from, so we don't have no problems answering the phone, because we don't have no problem, talking to people. Just be careful what you're talking about, because certain things we just don't talk about. I don't do dope deals. I don't have any dogs to sell, so there's nothing. I'm not doing anything illegal, so feel free to call. Have any questions? Have a comment. You want to look into something, or you heard something, you want to believe what do you think? You was around back in that time for you know what I mean? Just like I'm talking to y'all. I know I got this big ass community out there, and all this time that we've been doing that, I still never heard anybody come back and tell me whatever happened to Stormin' Norman after he left Kalamazoo. I can get you as far as Iris Jerry's, but after that I lost track of him. But I know this big ass community with all these dogs out here. Did Norman just fall off the map? Because I really want to know what was so bad that you had to leave your house. Leave your home. We had a better relationship than that. I just be really just be wanting to know. That's all. With all this time done passed, I really just be wanting to know. So I put that out to y'all, and as far as I know, nobody ever came back and ever told us what happened to Storm Norman. Nasty. I know his situation. I know y'all done seen my man Armin in there. I've talked to Joe. I've talked to many of the guys, and nobody really ever knew whatever happened to Norm. But he, that's if I ever want to have a problem with anybody, when it comes down to Lil Mayday, he would be the only person I would have a problem with. And y'all already know why. Anything outside of that, no, I don't have no problems. So, if you want something, you don't like something about what we're saying, hey, I got a number. But it's not a matter of whether you like it or not. This is my story. Didn't think I needed nobody's permission to say what I'm saying. I'm not going to say anything I didn't feel the way I felt about it. So, as long as I feel like that, I feel comfortable saying what I'm saying. So, hard feelings, but that is what it is. I don't think that's being disrespectful. I think that's just being real. Period. So, like I said, we're easy to get hold of. You got an email, send me a number. Be glad to hit you back up, because I don't have nothing with the phone number on it right now in front of me. I can tell you, y'all hit that email, or hit up some of the other guys. You know how this community works. Somebody gonna go in there, hey, they got this number on the thing. That's their number, call them. Because we've always been open for that. But anything other than that, just know I'm always addressed what I don't like. Because I'm entitled to my opinion too. So outside of that, man, Mo is done for the day. It is 12:40, and I'm out of here. Hey, y'all. Show the love, because I know the fights made. Hey, look, just for showing up. Give me some thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And then just for showing up, show me some muscles, muscles, muscles. Now, and again for showing up, give me some damn roses. Roses, roses. We need them damn roses because any and everything other than this show right here tonight, and it ain't all the best because again, I started not to even do it because I was so pissed off about wasting my time to sit there and watch that sorry ass fight shit. I was sitting there at 5 o'clock. I was on it. I said, well, they gonna be like, fight be starting at 8 and they'll be done by 9. Then I can give y'all an hour. But it was so terrible, man, that I just didn't have no choice but to get on here. Now I'm all in my feelings, and I know y'all got this coming. We would be back to normal. No, we ain't. Just put it like this. Be here Tuesday for Talk Shit Tuesday because Talk Shit Tuesday might be a day you're going to really see me talk some shit. Till then, everybody stay safe. Enjoy your weekends. Don't forget to check them chains. Don't forget to check them collars. Don't forget to hit that like button. And please, if you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. And to all my fellow OGs, 64 and under, S2W, baby. We scratch to win always. That's what matters. S2W all day. So until Tuesday, stay safe because I'm out. Hey, appreciate that love. Let me give a big shout out to my man, Oak Man. I see you, fam. MB for fire. Love you, fam. S2W always, man. Big time supporters, big time things happening, baby. Let me see. I'm going to do this. Nah, well, yeah. Hold on, fellas. I got to do some music thing. Get out of here. 1 second. Hold on. Let me do this like that. Like that. Like that. This. That. Yeah. Again, man. Young Jordan weekend. Hey, Kennels. Let's see, Kennels and Skull fight tomorrow night, so I guess the fight thing continues. I know this is fixing to be a beatdown. You know, Kennels all day. I can't wait for the Kennels Crawford shit to go down, but we'll talk about it. Big shout out to all my other fellas out there. J-Lo, One Dog Archive, Samurai, all you guys with the YouTube channels, support each other, keep it popping, baby. Just let you know, I see you, fam. Peace. There we go.